Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we've currently got a rather large performance issue when we tick forward because we are calling over 13 million on minute ticks every time a minute ticks forward, which is every second. So that's a bit of a problem, and I was thinking about maybe offloading that onto a thread, but I actually think that might be a little bit overkill and not really what we need to do. I think we might be better off doing something like a public bool ticks on, this is going to be ticks on minute, and this is just going to be a get if manager.business.balance.get building balance from type equals manager.business.balance.generic. Then it would return false, else it would return true. Okay, so now we know whether it should tick on the minute or not without running this. I mean, it's running the same thing, but we can go ahead and get rid of this check in the on minute tick, and that'll speed that up slightly, but not really, because we're doing the same thing up here. But what I really wanted to do is I want to, in the time manager here, I want to get a way that this registers itself to a separate minute tick list. Ideally, no, phone, go away. This is not the time. Ideally one that can have both a time-aware object and a time-aware object non-MB. But unfortunately, that's not really a possibility. For right now, we're going to go ahead and say something. What are we going to say? I mean, right now, this doesn't actually do anything. We're going to have exactly the same performance issues that we had before. Because I think we need another couple of lists. Or a single list? I think a single list. Public list time aware object non-MB. And this is going to be TANB or TANMB. I hate it. Time aware objects that tick on minute. That doesn't, I don't like that name. That's too verbose. I suppose we could just say minute tickers equals new list time aware object non-MB, and then only buildings and vehicles will probably go into that. So we can go ahead and go into our building here, and then when we implement our start, we do base.start, which is the time-aware object non-mb.start, which is simply manager.timeaware_non-mb.add this. And then we can say, in addition to that, if this here, if ticks on minute, and it bears noting that that will change every time we look at it because we're doing this in a get. So if ticks on minute, then we add it to the list. And also, so we need to say manager.minute_tickers.add this. The other major thing is we need to make sure that we add it when we change this, when we change the building type. So I think what we need to do is we need to make it so that we can't change this directly. Or if we do, how do I want to do that? I do want it to default to building type.none, but it would anyway. So public building type, and then we could do, say, a get return type, and then we could do a set. When we set this, type equals value, and then we can run a little bit of custom code here to say if ticks on minute, if manager is not equal to no, and ticks on minute. Just want to make sure that that's in there. If the manager is not equal to null and it ticks on the minute, then we want to make sure that it's added into it. So if manager.minutetickers.contains this, then we're fine. But if it doesn't contain it, so if not manager.minutetickers.contains this, then we need to say manager.minutetickers.add this. And then we need to say if it doesn't tick on minute, so if manager is still not equal to null, that's why I'm not using an else here, and not ticks on minute, then we need to say if manager.minutetickers.contains this, then we need to remove it. Manager.minutetickers.remove this. Okay, so now when we change our type, it should automatically register and deregister with the minute ticker list in the time manager. So let's head into the time manager then. And for the on minute tick, we are only going to do this for minute tickers. Like that. So now it will only do the minute tick on things that we own. The hour and the day tick and the month tick, it'll still do on everything. Which isn't necessarily what we want, because it's still going to every hour, every day, every month, and every year. It's still going to cause a big hang, but that's probably fine for now. So, let's go ahead and run this and make sure that that all works as expected. And of course, we still do have that small problem with the... with... What am I thinking? There's a word I'm thinking, but I can't say it. I don't know why. It's right on the tip of my tongue. The capacity. That's the word I'm looking for. There's still the problem with the capacity in the readout, and I'm not sure exactly what's causing that, but this should fix the huge performance problem that we were having with the with the tick. Now that I think about it, that might be what causes this startup hang too. I don't know. But we're gonna have a big hang, I expect, every hour, every day, every month, and every year. I fully expect that. So that's something we're going to have to consider. Oh boy, this is quite the hang. Oh, I know what's causing that. It's registering and deregistering every time it creates a hex. Or every time it creates a building hex. This is going to take a while. I did not think of that. Oh, that actually wasn't that bad. Stack Overflow exception. Okay, I guess that's not hugely surprising. Yeah, I mean, we could have a backing type to prevent that. And that means that if it was Stack Overflowing, yeah. So private building type, backing type, return backing type, and then backing type equals value. Everything else should still view it as type, but internally I think that'll fix the Stack Overflow issues that we just had. That does indicate to me that this is not going to take as long as I thought it was, because if we fixed the stack overflows, this should go back to being relatively quick. For one thing, all it has to do is check to see if it's on the list when it starts it up. It wouldn't be on the list at the beginning. So we can maybe skip that check the first time through? That might be something we could do, but that wasn't too bad as far as how long it took to start up. I think that's fine. So let's come on in here, and let's go ahead and buy this warehouse, and let's knock it on down. Perfect. Let's construct ourselves a postal office. Bam. Okay, and let's select the postal office. Obviously, the capacity is still not working. But yeah, you can see that now time ticks forward very nicely. However, when the hour ticks, you can see there is a small hitch there. Every time the hour ticks. And every time the day ticks, there will be a double hitch. Every time the month ticks, there will be a triple hitch. And every time the year ticks, there will be a quadruple hitch. Hicks? That's not the word I'm looking for. Yeah, you can see this upkeep is very slowly filling. Probably too slowly. I'm not sure that that needs to be monthly. That might need to be daily. But that's something we can sort out later on. So overall, I would say that this level of hitching is probably acceptable. For now, anyway. Obviously, I wouldn't want to ship a game like this, but we don't need to really be working on that. And then if we close this, and no reference exceptions, yeah. I think that's just because we closed this while it was doing things. But if we close this, then select one of these. You can see these aren't filling because they're not making any progress. In fact, it's not even getting called on them. So yeah, that'll do the trick. Perfect. Okay, so the other thing is, we may want to rename that from minute tickers to just tickers. But right now, like I said, I'm fairly comfortable with that level of performance with having a hitch every hour. We know it's a problem, it's a solvable one, but not one we need to be concerned about right now. I wouldn't want to ship the game like that, but that's not something that we need to do immediately. What we need to do immediately is figure out what's going on with this vehicle capacity. So let's go ahead and, if it returns 0 out of 0, let's debug.log building.vehiclecapacity. I just want to know what it is. And let's go ahead and run that. The other thing that we could do to speed up this startup is we could lower it from a 50 by 50 world map. We could make it be something more along the lines of, 10 by 10. That would speed it up extremely substantially. I don't think we rely on it being 50 by 50. Okay. So you can see here, capacity is 0 out of 0. It's actually not outputting anything, which is strange. I expected it to. It's a little odd. We're going to go ahead and buy this storefront. And we're going to knock it on down. And we are going to construct ourselves a postal office. And we are going to select this. Okay, it is outputting 1. Okay, so real quick. It's outputting vehicle capacity equals 1. Oh. Of course it is. This needs to be not equal to 0. What am I doing? Oh, I have no idea what I'm even doing anymore. Oh, that was a dumb mistake. No wonder it wasn't working. Okay. So I would say the selected hex UI, assuming that that's now working, is working entirely properly. And we can go ahead and begin with the implementing of purchasing and storing vehicles, which is good because the other thing is, what about transporting vehicles? Okay, let me show you what I mean here. Let's hop into a hex. Say we're in this hex. Say we're in here. And we go ahead and purchase this guy. Like so. And I'm actually gonna, for the purposes of demonstration, I'm gonna hop in here and bump up my current funds by a pretty hefty amount. We're gonna say we have $50,000. And we're gonna go ahead and demolish this guy for 300 bucks. And then we're also going to purchase this hex and this hex. And then we'll demolish both of those as well. We'll construct a post office here. Bam, there's your post office. And then say we have some reason to say, I really don't want the post office to be here. I would rather have the post office be here. So we close this and we look at this hex. There's nothing there right now. We do own the hex. We can go ahead and build ourselves a new post office. But what if we came in here and filled this with a truck, or rather a delivery vehicle? What if we put a delivery vehicle here, and then we wanted to move it here? So we go ahead and build ourselves a new post office. Bam. And we demolish this post office. Like that. Well, suddenly this one doesn't have a vehicle. Can we transfer the vehicles from this post office to this post office, or do we just have to buy a new vehicle? I don't actually know. And that's a question we're going to have to grapple with. I think we should probably be able to move them, right? That only makes sense. Like, you can move around vehicles. That's the entire point of a vehicle. I think we're going to have to be able to. I'm just going to go ahead and tick this forward and make sure that... Yep. Okay, and then what if... We have no real way to access that, do we? Because... Well, maybe we do. We kinda don't. I mean, we could do serialized field on the building, which we probably should do. Then we'll go ahead and recompile this. May have to restart the game. I'm not entirely certain on that. It appears we do. Come on, Unity. You can do it. Okay. Now we'll rerun this. Because I just want to be able to actually access these variables here from the inspector. That would be a useful thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this hex here. Yeah, we don't actually have access to the buildings within the biome hex. That's a little unfortunate. But I guess that's fine. So the last thing I really want to do, this is a temporary sort of thing, is I want to re-enable the hex selection window. And I want to, in the interaction panel, the layout group here, I want to check what exactly happens, like how much does this fill if we put in a vehicle slot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it fills in full. We can squish it a little bit by reducing the Y spacing down to about... We could have it at 0, we could have it at 1. We could also move it up slightly, like 5 pixels from the top, and increase the spacing a little bit that way. That's too much spacing. That's not quite enough spacing. I think that's slightly too much. I think that's good, right there. Okay. The other thing I want to do is in the interaction panel, but outside of the layout group, put in a UI button. We're going to affix this to the bottom. Position Y of, well, we want a Y anchor of 0, and then we'll move it up about 5-ish pixels. Yeah, I mean, the space here isn't great. We could go ahead and move this down to 0. Yeah, that's much, much better. I like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete the text out of this button, and we're going to create ourselves text mesh protext 0, 0, 0, 0, and this is simply going to read transfer vehicles. Size 24 is probably not really what we're looking for here. We'll go for size 16, we'll make it be black. And the button, I'm going to go ahead and have this be bottom stretch. 5 pixels, 5 pixels. Okay. Transfer vehicles button. Now, that's not actually going to do anything, obviously, right now. We'll need to implement that. But that's something for another episode. I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode, we may implement transferring vehicles, but actually we're definitely not. We're going to be implementing purchasing vehicles and the storage of purchasing vehicles, then transferring. See you all next time.